Potluck Polk. I'm your host, Bryan Lacey, and Potluck Polk is the show that you've always wanted to watch. It's going to introduce you to some of the restaurants within Polk County, maybe take you to places that you can get those sweet treats or that craft brew, or maybe we might even bring you into a kitchen and show you some things that you can do at home. And speaking of kitchens, I want to introduce you to my buddy Ron Lund. He's with Central Florida Healthcare. He's a registered dietitian. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, I understand since this is our first show, we're going to do something quick and easy, and pasta salad is on the menu.
It is indeed. It's a very easy recipe to make. The only cooking really prepared with this recipe is the pasta.
Yeah.
You just follow the instructions on the box. It's usually 8 to 10 minutes.
As we cook pasta, we know that within a society, some people need gluten-free pasta. So what are some of the alternatives that they can go with when it comes to that?
Yep. So for those who have celiac disease, so they have a GI gut disorder that they can't tolerate the gluten. They want to do a gluten-free pasta. You can find that usually in the stores. It's much more popular now. For those who feel they have some sensitivity to gluten, they feel like they have some inflammation, joint pain and things, they want to try that. By all means, that's an option too.
And we've got one of the girls in our office that's just actually gone away from gluten and just started, so it doesn't necessarily have to be something medical. People just want to move away from that.
Could be, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people feel that they don't tolerate it well. I mean, as soon as they eat pasta, or bread, they start to get that GI, the stomach pain, and then they eliminate that from the diet, and they tend to feel a lot better.
Well, let's talk ingredients as far as pasta salad goes. I see some things over there that are new. I see some things that are standard kind of issue as far as pork.
Right, and I'm sorry for interrupting. These ingredients are all interchangeable, so there's basically any type of vegetables and seasonings you can put into a pasta salad. In particular for this recipe, so we've got quartered.
So let's go ahead and start moving them over if we will.
Yep. So we've got the actual pasta itself, and that's that has gluten in it.
Okay.
You can use a fat-free dressing if you'd like. I've got a little bit of olive oil and some balsamic vinegar and some Mrs. Dash that I combined to make a dressing for the salad itself. We've got two seasonings. We got parsley and I am forgetting the other one. I apologize. I will get that in just a minute for you. We have quartered artichoke hearts.
Yeah, the artichoke hearts were,
yes.
That's a brand new one for me for pasta salad.
And those are good. I don't know if you've ever had them before. They're really good. We've got some onions, and we got some red pepper. We also have some sun-dried tomatoes, and we soaked them in water a little bit to make it a little more palatable. They're really hard to chew when they're dry.
Yeah.
And then we got some red kidney beans.
Now, see, there's another new one that I've never been introduced to as far as pasta salad goes. So a little bit of prep time. We did this prior to taping. About how much time should this take to make?
The bulk of the time is really going to be the preparation of the pasta, which is just putting it in the water, let it go for 8 to 10 minutes. So probably while that's cooking, you can get everything else together. If you want to chop up your seasonings and your spices and herbs, by all means, you can do that. Or you can get them pre-made in the store. Walmart has them where you can buy them. These little containers are really cool, and they're already chopped and ready to go.
Okay.
I got the red pepper. That takes maybe a minute. And you want to make sure...
We were working a knife earlier today.
We were indeed. So when you get these vegetables too, and fruit for that as well, you want to make sure you always wash it first.
All right.
Get off any type of contaminants and dirt, something that might be on the outer part of the actual vegetable or fruit itself. Okay?
All right. What do you say we throw the pasta in the water and get the hardest part about this done?
Right? Yep. So we got about 2 cups of dry pasta. And you just put it in the water. Sometimes people will add salt. Sometimes people add oil to the water. It's up to you. You don't have to do it.
So for the most part, do you want this al dente or do you want to overcook it?
That's preference too. Some people like it al dente, which I like it. Some people like it nice and soft. Some people may have a chewing problem. They might want it softer, right? Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's al dente, it's probably going to hold up a little better. It's not going to get as mushy.
Okay.
When you're making the recipe.
All right.
Yep. So we got the pasta going. You go for about 8 to 10 minutes, and got some pasta over here that's already done.
All right.
All right.
So let's go ahead and start this.
By all means. So, you just take your ingredients. There's no order to put them in. Just, add them all to your pasta itself. Of course, we went over all these a few minutes ago.
So are the seasonings the last to go on, or?
There's really no order, because what we're going to do, once we get everything in here, we're going to just mix it all up together.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the actual dressing itself.
Okay.
So I just mixed it together real quick so it kind of gets all blended together. And that's the dressing there. And what I like about that is there isn't any sodium in it. This is really a nice low sodium recipe.
And of course, using the Mrs. Dash's, no salt.
Right. Yep. It's a great salt alternative if you're looking to reduce the amount of salt in your diet.
Okay, let's talk the marinated artichoke hearts. Where do those come into play?
So, we need to put these in.
See,
Thanks for keeping me on cue, right?
I thought there was something special. They went in last, so.
So these came from Walmart, but you can typically get these at most grocery stores. It's a vegetable, so it's a good source of fiber. They're low in calories. They do have a little bit of oil added to it, and these hardly have any sodium in them. Some have a lot more than others.
Okay.
So if you are trying to limit the amount of salt in your diet, reading the labels is going to be really important.
And as you mentioned, read the labels. Talk about some of the things that the folks should look for when they're looking at the labels, things they should avoid.
Right, really good question. So let's start off with sodium because we were just talking about that, right?
Okay.
You know, if you're looking for something low sodium, it's going to be about 140 milligrams or less.
Okay.
That's going to be a low sodium. And typically in the day, we want to try to keep it about 2,300 milligrams for the day. If you could drop that down to about 1,500 milligrams, that's even a little better. That's from the American Heart Association. You can look at fat. Some things have quite a bit of fat added to them versus some others are a lot less fat. In general, saturated fat is the one we want to be really, really cautious of. That's the one that typically comes from animal products and sometimes some of the tropical fruits.
Well, let's go ahead and mix this up and see what our end result is. While you're mixing that up, one thing that I really want to stress to those that are watching at home, Central Florida Healthcare has classes that they can take when it comes to cooking. How do they go about finding out about these?
That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. So we have classes once a month. It's typically the first Thursday of the month, and it goes from 5:30 till 7. It's right here at 201 Magnolia Avenue in Winter Haven. They can call me to make an RSVP, but you don't have to call and make an RSVP. You can just show up. We're glad you showed up, and then we'll get you on our calling list, and then you will get notifications monthly of the upcoming classes. And you'll also receive a text.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Ron, you guys at home, hope you don't mind. We're going to sit and enjoy some of this for right now. Ron, thanks for the lesson today.
Yes, thank you very much, too. Appreciate it.
So we have a first location, which is a Cobb and Penn, right down the way here in Dixieland, and we are open in the afternoons and the evenings, and one of the reasons we decided to open Good Thyme is for breakfast and lunch. So to expand our footprint in Dixieland but not step on our own toes. Offer a little bit of a healthier menu. We have a lot of, I would say, like fried food at Cobb and Penn, still scratch made, but just a different menu for a different lifestyle.
So we thought if we curated a nice menu that had a variety of comfort foods in the morning, biscuit sandwiches, but also more like power bowls with vegetables, acai bowls, yogurt, great salads, vegan options, vegetarian options, things that we're showing a little more of a conscious direction as far as eating is concerned.
So almost everything that we have here is scratch made. We have a house-made seitan, which is a very vegan-friendly meal. The cauliflower rice is shaved to order. And then we have Matt and Amber that make almost everything in-house, which is a labor-intensive process, but I think comes through in the flavor for it.
As far as ingredients that you'd see on the menu, there's not much that we don't make here. You know, we may get the mustard or get the mayonnaise or the Dijon or something like that, but as far as dressings are concerned, marinades are concerned, we make the granola for the yogurt bowl. We actually make the yogurt for the yogurt bowl. We do our own pickling. We're not buying pre-cut bagged vegetables. We're spending time prepping. And yeah, basically, I would say 95+% are things that we make here. Even the vegan sausage and seitan and things like that we make is made here.
When we first started this thing, we were looking for a place that could feed everyone, you know? Like, you can come get something that's totally vegan or very, you know, veggie based, but you know, if you feel like you have fried chicken that day, you can still get a darn good fried chicken. And you know, that's kind of the place that we wanted to build, and that's kind of what we've done. And I think we're getting old enough now to where we can start expanding a little bit and doing some more experimental stuff. So
lunchtime, stir fry is up there popular. The chicken sandwich is super popular. We have a grilled chicken and a fried chicken. A lot of people rave about the fried chicken sandwich. The poke bowl So offering like a fresh marinated tuna over some sticky rice with some fresh vegetables and fruit, that does really well.
So my personal favorite is the fried chicken sandwich. I think it rivals anything else out there, especially all the chain restaurants. A couple of the other really popular ones are the stir fry, which is made with cauliflower rice, which is actually cauliflower, not rice.
Today we'll do our veggie stir fry. It's kind of like a play on fried rice, but instead of using regular rice, we use a riced cauliflower. So we order whole heads of cauliflower, we break them down and run them through a shredder, and it comes out kind of like a noodly, ricey consistency. And so it's kind of just like a regular stir fry, but without the carb-loaded rice, we have nice veggie cauliflower. We go in first with the onions, then the carrots, some fresh red bell pepper, all veggies ordered from Farmer Jack Produce, chopped in-house, some fresh white mushroom, and some fresh ginger. Not too much, just a little bit. The rest will come in later. We'll give this a toss. We want to get good color on these vegetables to where they're just softened up but still have some toothiness to them. Al dente, they might say sometimes. So this is why the hot pan is key, because once you dump all these veggies in, you don't want the pan getting cold on you, because then you get steamed vegetables instead of sauteed fried vegetables. Now, this was a healthy amount of oil. We're talking at least 2 ounces of oil. It might seem like a lot, but that's why they call it a stir fry. You essentially want to fry these vegetables. The oil is not as bad for you as you might think. For those who want an egg, again, without this addition, this dish could be totally vegan. Veggies are starting to get a nice color to them, so we can go ahead and add the rest. Some fresh green peas. About 1.5 cups to 2 cups of riced cauliflower. Now the last part happens pretty quick, because we want this cauliflower to keep its al dente, you know, we want it to keep it so it's like rice. We don't want to have mush cauliflower. Now this is a tamari. It's basically like soy sauce, but it's wheat-free, so therefore it's gluten-free. But it's a little saltier than your normal soy sauce, so we have to use a little bit less. But in it goes. Give it a quick toss. And then I cut off the heat. That's all she wrote. And here we use a cane fiber container, completely biodegradable, completely earth friendly.
So I'm making our sun butter. We kind of call it a nut butter, but it's a sun butter on the menu. It's mostly sunflower seeds. It's got almonds, cashews in it. It's our version of a peanut butter without the actual peanuts, because a lot of people have peanut allergies, and we're trying to make it where people have an option to eat, you know, stuff like that, because I can't eat peanuts either. So it's nice to be able to have something like this, because we do make our blackberry jam and our preserves and stuff, we make all that in-house. So it's nice when you get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, even just a kid, we make everything in-house. So it's kind of cool. Really simple process. Basically what I'm doing is putting everything in the RoboCoupe, spinning it up, and as it's spinning, I'm adding coconut oil. So we don't add like regular oil, vegetable oil, or anything. We go with coconut oil. It has a much smoother consistency when it comes out, has a much better flavor without all that coconuttiness. So this is basically gonna go until it gets to that nice, smooth, buttery consistency. So it's gonna be a little while. So it gets to probably about this consistency. It's almost like a mealy consistency. And then I'll just start with a couple of tablespoons of coconut oil and go from there. So now it's starting to smooth out. It's getting that nice creamy, buttery consistency, which is what we are looking for. And we're good. And that is our nut butter, sun butter.
Hello, I'm Jessica, and we're in Lakeland at Ethos Roasters with the owner, Lisbeth.
Hello, Jessica. Welcome. I'm really excited to have you here today.
Thank you. So first off, can you give us an overview of your company and kind of how it all started?
So Ethos Roasters is 3.5, almost 4 years old. We're gonna be 4 years old in March. And it basically started with the desire to make a difference in the lives of people around the world, particularly in developing countries. So I'm originally from Guatemala. My husband is from Colombia. And we grew up surrounded by coffee and also surrounded by a lot of people that were very hardworking, but we felt were not being paid fairly for their work, and we found that coffee was kind of like the perfect vehicle where we could make a difference in people's lives and then at the same time get to enjoy an amazing product that we both were kind of a little addicted to.
So where do your beans in particular come from?
So we have beans from many different countries, mostly Central South America, and we have a couple countries in Africa. So we have Kenya and Ethiopia. We also have primarily Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. We do a lot of beans from Colombia as well, Brazil, Peru. So basically, the top growing countries in the world represented.
Okay, so when we go to the store, we're looking at packaging, or when we're going online, there's always that fair trade label on the more expensive roasts. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
So fair trade is a certification program, so it's kind of similar to the organic program or some other certification programs. And what they do is basically they visit the farms or visit the cooperatives, and they ensure that cooperative a minimum price. So it is a good start, but one of the things we want people to kind of like search for and support is people that are doing very transparent trading and that provide premiums that are beyond that, because that's really what the farmers need to be able to grow coffee sustainably, is prices that go beyond the $2 per pound mark. And when I talk about those prices, I'm talking about price at the farm. So of course you have to add all the shipping expenses, all the logistics, which are significant. But I do think there's definitely room for roasters, for consumers to support a system that rewards the farmers much more than what we're doing right now.
And you are part of such a system, right?
Yes, so we're actually our most impactful coffee is sourced directly from the cooperative in Guatemala in a little town called Puaquil, and we pay them 3 times market price directly to them. So that has allowed them to buy their own green coffee processing equipment for the first time. All of their kids are going to school, which is super, super important for us. That's one of the conditions that we have when we work directly with people, is that all the kids from the farmers can have to go to school. They cannot miss a day of school because working in the farms.
Okay, so explain the roasting process. We know where you get your beans. What happens here?
Okay, so here we have 2 roasters. I have a 15 kilo one and a 2 kilo one, and it basically allows us to do different size batches. And during the roasting process, you heat up the beans in a very controlled manner, and there's a rotating steel drum inside that kind of like makes sure that heat gets distributed evenly throughout the roast. At the beginning, you need to apply as much heat as possible. So you basically are kind of like cooking them up. You experience all kinds of smells and and kind of like color changes during the roasting process, as you'll see. You get a lot of caramelization, you get Maillard reactions, browning reactions that are similar to bread making. So you get, kind of like a fresh baked bread smell at some point, and then you start caramelizing all the sugars, so you start getting a lot of the, you know, kind of like more brown components. Depending on the length of the roast, you can have anything from a light roast to a medium roast to a darker roast, and then the darker that you go, typically, you start losing some of the original components of the green beans. So that's why people tell you, oh, if you wanna, you know, you wanna taste great coffee, or you wanna know if it's great coffee, you should try it as a light roast.
From your experience and your orders, what is more popular, light, medium, or dark?
We do a lot more medium roast than, I would say, medium roast, then dark, and then light for our particular customer base, yeah.
So what is, in your opinion, in your professional opinion, what is the best way to brew coffee?
Oh, okay. In my professional opinion, there's no right answer. I would say, you know, again, it's a matter of personal preference. There's a lot of ways where you can enjoy coffee, you know, from, you know, a drip coffee maker. I personally like pour overs a lot because it just gives you kind of like the whole experience. But it's also a very time-consuming, a little time-consuming method. So I would say it's probably more for, you know, the afternoon or winding down, you know, and there might be different methods that are best suited for different occasions. So that's the way that I see it. It's more like the best match for this particular occasion. You know, a French press can be really wonderful, you know, if you have some time, or if you have friends and you want to kind of, you know, linger and stuff. So it just depends on the person, yeah.
So if someone at home has a drip coffee maker and they don't have a French press, what is the best ratio for making the most out of those beans?
That's a question we actually get a lot, and what we recommend as a starting point is 1 standard tablespoon of coffee per every cup of coffee in the coffee maker. Now, the cups of coffee in coffee makers are typically 4-ounce cups, so it will not fill like a regular standard 8-ounce cup. It would be more like half a cup, but you can kind of like adjust it like that. So 1 tablespoon, standard tablespoon that you can get at any, you know, you can buy very easily, per cup in your coffee maker. So if you're making a standard 8-ounce cups, it would be 2 tablespoons. And then the other thing you need to pay attention is the grind level. So the right grind for the right method. So if you're doing French press, you need a coarse grind because it's a full immersion. The beans are gonna be in direct contact with water. So you need, you know, like a wide air, you know, you need kind of like big chunks of coffee in order not to over extract, versus if you're doing, you know, on the other hand, you're doing espresso, you need very, very, very fine grinds, and the reason is you don't have a lot of time to extract. So you're gonna extract a French press for 5 minutes, you're gonna extract an espresso for 25 seconds. So you basically adjust like that. And then drip is kind of like in the middle, you need a medium grind, and it should take, you know, the whole process about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, depending on your machine.
Okay, now I want you to settle a debate for us. Where should one store beans? In the freezer or in a room temperature?
So this is also another very, very common misconception. A lot of people swear by putting their beans in the freezer, and you actually shouldn't freeze your beans. And the reason for that, well, there's 2 reasons. One of them is that you actually accelerate the degassing process of coffee. So as your coffee ages, it will release a lot of CO2, and with that CO2, a lot of the aromas of the coffee that make coffee amazing are gonna be released. And if you know anything about flavor perception or flavor enjoyment, you know, a big chunk of that actually comes from aroma. So aroma is a big component of flavor. And the other reason is that you can also, coffee, it's also a great absorber, a great kind of like absorber of other things. So if you have other things in your freezer, it might actually end up tasting like the things around it.
A big piece of pork.
Yeah, pork or fish or something like that, so yeah.
Okay, so where can visitors and locals buy your coffee to drink served, or where can they get your beans?
So we have many different coffee shops around Central Florida. So, you know, if you're in Winter Haven, N+1 Coffee. If you're here, the market at Café Supina. Here in Lakeland, market at Café Supina. Hillcrest Coffee. We have Uncle Nick's Bagels on the south side. And we're looking forward to have, some new people coming up on the next, this coming year, opening up their shops. But our main channel is always online, so ethosroasters.com. We roast and ship the same day. We do free shipping orders of 35 or more, so it's, it's everything like roasted on order. So a lot of the times, you can get your coffee like for the month and kind of like work through it. You can also find us at the farmers market on Saturdays. So that's,
And that's in downtown Lakeland,
in
right?
downtown Lakeland, yeah.
And on a last question, but on a personal note, what do you order at a coffee shop whenever you're traveling, if you're in Seattle or New York or Tulsa?
Oh, okay. So I love going into these expedition trips, and many times, so we go to independent coffee shops, and the way that I kind of like judge, their shop is actually by their drip coffee. Okay. So their drip coffee is typically the least expensive thing on the menu, but if it's a great shop, if it's a great roaster, it really comes through because you'll be able to taste the quality of the coffee on that drip coffee. If you go to a shop and their drip or their standard coffee, it's kind of like undrinkable, or you have to add a lot of things, very high chances are, their espresso is not gonna be any better, and like the drinks are probably very more like sugar based and really like coffee based. So.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. And for more information and to buy beans from this roaster, go to ethosroasters.com.